Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Now let's hear it for our guest host, Amber Bowen.
Hey guys, welcome to the activity call on this beautiful Friday. We have got a jam-packed session for you today. We even have some guests on that we're going to talk to later at the end of the call with Stephanie Rodriguez and Tim Long. We also have Chris Norris joining us from Albuquerque. I did want to just jump up real fast and talk about some of the travel that Chris is doing right now. He is he's doing Albuquerque today. So if you're in Albuquerque, make sure you get yourself out there to Albuquerque. And then he's going to be out in Denver tomorrow with Nick Greco and Marcus Richardson's team. So if you've got any agents out there in Denver, make sure you're sending them that way. And then next Saturday, he's going to be out in Atlanta with Brandon Manley on the 18th called Super Saturday in Atlanta. Those are all listed on the Alliance Hotspots website, so you can find that there. And then also, we got the View from the Edge tickets on sale. They are on sale right now for $399. They're going to go up to $2,000. So I suggest you guys go get them now. And if you haven't heard, you get points to go on the trip next year for 2024. And if you want to go ahead and get ahead of the game for that, go to these events, get signed up, definitely get signed up for the View of the Edge. It is going to be amazing. You're going to learn so many things. You're going to get to associate with some of our top leaders. You're going to get to meet people. You're going to see Troy there, Chris there. So definitely get your tickets and get there. And to start this off, I know if you've been joining us from the TWC and the product call yesterday, we've been talking about some new products that we've been releasing this week. And one of our newest products is with Nassau Ray. And we've got Troy Briggs as a special guest today. And he is going to talk a little bit more about what that product is and what that offers. Hey, Troy, we're excited to have you.
Thanks, Amber. Thanks, Chris. Always happy to hop on. Thanks, everybody, for the business you continue to do with us. We've been very strong in guaranteed income, and a lot of you continue to utilize our income annuities to give your clients that guaranteed income stream that they cannot outlive. Many of you use our growth annuity as a way to help a person accumulate assets while at the same time protecting their principal. And what we wanted to do is we knew that, we wanted to come out with a strong bonus product that is an upfront bonus that can help a person jumpstart their retirement savings or maybe give them a running start. And we're really happy to announce the launch yesterday of our Nassau bonus annuity, which we think is one of the top products in the marketplace. And you could have full confidence in taking out and presenting the clients with the products, with the clients and the prospects that you're working with. So if it's okay with everybody, I'm just going to take 5, maybe 10 minutes, just kind of giving you a high-level overview of the annuity product, how it works, and then, of course, if you have any questions, you can just bounce them off of Amber or Chris. You can always call our annuity sales desk. We'd be happy to help you out as well. So I'm going to try to share my screen, Amber. We'll see how this goes. Let's see. And do you see a PowerPoint slide up, everybody?
I do. You are good.
Awesome. So the Nassau bonus annuity. Primarily, this is how it works. So again, I'm going to give you a high-level overview, and I got a couple of different things that I'm going to pull up with this. But we have an upfront bonus on the annuity of 10%. So on our 10-year product, it's a 10-year product, we offer a 10% bonus that starts out right away, day one. If a person puts $100,000 into the annuity, they're going to look at 110. It's really a beautiful thing. But like with all of the annuity products that we have here at Nassau, and this is, I think, really important, is the fact that we also offer, with the 10% bonus annuity, a lot of liquidity. So a person can get 10% out of the annuity product per year. That's based on the accumulation value, which is also inclusive of that bonus payment that initially goes in. So 10% liquidity, and you can get at that right away. I mean, there's no wait on it. There's no wait for a year or 2 years. It's immediate access to liquidity. So it's really important because one of the things, of course, with an annuity is, we're going to tie some money up for a little bit, but there's plenty of liquidity into this product, into this program. So we're happy to bring this out to you. Just like our growth annuity, you've got a fixed account. You also have 13 different indexes that you can choose from the S&P 500 to the NASDAQ to the Smart Passage indice, which is a volatility controlled indexing a program that we offer. Happy to let y'all know that from a death benefit perspective, we offer full death benefit that includes the bonus amount if someone should die prematurely. We don't want anyone to die, but if that happens, we that's fully paid out at death, which is a big deal. So, just at a high level, just kind of sharing with you some of the things that this annuity product can offer you. Again, I've already sort of touched upon some of the bullet points that you see here on the screen. We also offer with this product two optional income riders that are part of the annuity. So again, if you want to attach an income rider that's a part of this annuity program, you can do that as well. There is a cost for those. I should have mentioned, by the way, there is no cost. There is no fee for the bonus. No fee whatsoever for that 10% upfront bonus. The only difference is in the rates that you're going to get when you compare the rates in the bonus annuity, let's say, to our growth annuity. They're going to be a little bit less, but there's no fee to the bonus product. There is a fee on the optional income riders, and the fee on that is 95 basis points. Let me blow this up. These are the rates for what I'll say is our A states. Let me turn this on, boom, and pull this up. So you can see for yourself from a competitive standpoint, rates across the board are very competitive, whether you're looking at utilizing uncapped NASDAQ rates, both 1 or 2 year. If you want to utilize the uncapped S&P 500 rates, they're extremely competitive. In our A states, the cap is 9.1%. In our B states, and they're not listed here, the B state rates, the cap rate, just to give you an idea, is 8.75. So really strong rates across the board. And then, of course, we've got the Sunrise Smart Passage rates from an indexing standpoint that utilizes a volatility control mechanism. And that's why you see the much higher participation rates. Like with all of our annuities here at Nassau, if you want to utilize an indexing strategy where there's no fee, you can do that. If you don't want it to utilize any fees whatsoever, you want to keep the annuity product feeless, you can. If you choose to add a fee for your client and you want to buy up, for the lack of better terms, or to enhance that participation rate, you can for a 1% fee, but that's optional. So as an example, the 1 year S&P 500 uncapped participation rate is 37% in our A states. If you wanted to enhance it for a 1% fee, you can get up to as much as 42%. In the 2 year, it's 47 or it's 58. So again, just gives you an idea of how you can construct the annuity portfolio as you see fit when you're sitting down and talking with the clients. We know that a lot of people, and the way the cap rates are working right now, this is like, okay, I've got this growth annuity, but my God, look at these cap rates. It's been a long time since Chris Norris and I have seen caps this high, and it really makes for an easy story to sit down and talk to a client that you can own the 500 best companies in America. And you're going to give a little bit back from as it pertains to a cap rate, but the cap rate is really competitive. So whether you want to utilize my growth annuity or the bonus product with the 10%, it's really a very nice story that you can utilize. As I mentioned, we've got 2 income riders. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the income riders here today, but we do offer them. It's for a 95 basis point charge. Net, we're going to give the client 150% of the growth of the annuity, 150% plus a 3% guaranteed growth component. And so that we'll stack that income rider up each year for 15 years, so that at some point down the line, if they wanted to exercise that income rider from the annuity product, they can do that. But again, it's optional. The best way to learn how this works is to give us a call or to come into the website and run some hypothetical illustrations. And if you want to attach the income riders on there to see if it makes sense for the client that you're working with, you can do that. So again, optional income riders that are part of the annuity product as well. Now, as it pertains to a bonus, I oftentimes get the question, and I'm going to escape from this, and I'm going to pull up a PDF. Where are you? Right over here. How does the surrender charge work with the bonus product? There is a component to this so that you have a CDSC, a contingent deferred sales charge, that's a part of any annuity contract. But if for whatever reason a client wants to exit out of the annuity early, there is a bonus recapture provision so that if in 7 years the client wants to exit out of the annuity, they're not going to, have access to all of the bonus that was provided to them. So there's a vesting schedule that's provided on the summary page of the bonus annuity contract. And it's depending upon which state you're doing business in, the vesting schedule is going to be a little bit different. So as an example, in the 7th year, or let's use a year 8, in the 8th year, if the person was to exit out of the annuity contract, they would be retaining 70% of the bonus that they were provided up front, and they would be giving up, basically 3% of that bonus. In the B states, it would be 75%. So again, the surrender schedule is on the back of the summary page. The vesting schedule is on there as well. Couple of key points: you've got 10% liquidity each and every year. Whatever reason, if the RMD is ever higher than 10%, and I don't know if it would be in this situation, we do write the contract up through age 85. Potentially, I guess, if the required minimum distribution was higher, we would waive that. So we're not gonna ding a client if the RMD is higher than 10%. So you got a lot of liquidity, and again, at death, we pay the full accumulation value, which includes the bonus. So there's no ding on that as well. 2 other components that are part of this particular annuity contract: terminal illness as well as nursing home. If any of your clients fall ill or something happens, after a year's time in the annuity contract, they can get the dollars out of the annuity, penalty free. So there would be a bonus recapture in that regard from a terminal illness or from a nursing home standpoint. But rest assured, we built this thing to keep it as simple as we possibly could, and to give you the opportunity. Here are the rates. Here are the rates for both for the A and for the B states. And so that's a nice little piece. Chris, I'll make sure I send this all down to you so you can distribute it to the team, and that way they can have it at their fingertips.
Yep, and we've got it, and Troy, we appreciate that. And guys, don't get hung up on that. We're going to do a full product call on this. I wanted Troy to kind of give you guys the basic. And this is not unusual to do a vesting bonus. This is standard in the industry. You guys have seen this. You can't. To let Troy off the hook in this, he's got to do his due diligence. But guys, they can't give you $100,000 contract and give you a $10,000 bonus and let your client take it all out the next year, right? That's just due diligence from a company standpoint. The industry would go bankrupt if they let every company do this.
Yeah.
Clients would take advantage of it. So they're gonna put some restrictions from that standpoint. So that's standard in the industry. But what I would take away from this is, and Troy, you correct me, but from our standpoint, and what we should be talking about is, the market was down 20% last year, right? Yep. The S&P was down. This is a great conversation to have. That, hey, and I know even your marketing pieces, I ran the illustrations. Catch up on retirement, right? Yep. That's a pretty good catchphrase. If you got clients that have lost money in the market, this is 10% bonus. It's a really easy kind of conversation to have, right?
Absolutely.
And you have high caps, just like you talked about.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a really long time, just like you were talking about. So it's a really easy way to have a conversation. Hey, if you had market losses, we can talk about a way to recover those and still get growth within the contracts. That's what this was designed for.
That's absolutely correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So those, that, as Chris was saying, that's all standard on the surrender charge stuff. But it's a great time to be selling annuities, because these contracts right now are so benefit rich for the consumer. The consumer is clearly the big winner here, especially with the move in the rates. There's so much embedded value in all the annuity products that you're providing through Chris, and if you're utilizing the Nassau products, the consumer value is there, and it's a great time to be doing this. We can offer a lot with 10%. You can recapture or regain maybe some of those losses that they might have had if they've got older annuity contracts. It's always worth a call to Chris and the team to see if it makes sense to transfer some of those assets over. I got to tell you, Chris, you talk about this all the time. Any annuity that was written, I was going to say 4 years ago, but heck, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, but let's say 5 or 6 years ago, the cap rates coming out of a bonus annuity or even a growth annuity, the cap rates were down around 2 or 3%. So they might be still sitting there. They might not be moving. That's kind of the design of the annuity contract, if you will. It's a great opportunity just to, when you sit down talking to clients and you're doing all the planning with them, with everything else that you're doing. Hey, do you own any annuity products, or do you have any monies that you're just not happy with the rate of return that you're getting? Are you afraid of losing money? You got anything fixed where you might be still earning only 2 or 3%? I might have a way to help you unlock some of that and try to create some growth, but give you some guarantees at the same time. That's really the talk, I think, time in and time out, and again and over when you're sitting down and talking with folks that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had, and you guys think about the files that you've got, that you've had declined in the last 2 years because suitability wouldn't let you through because of surrender charges. Think about that. Because they've got these old surrender charges, you couldn't get them out of there, just like Troy was saying, because they were in a bonus contract. The vesting bonus wouldn't let you out of it. Again, this might be a way to get it out of there because the bonus is going to be higher, and we're putting them into a much better scenario because the cap rates are much higher now. They're going to actually make money, and they're going to be net positive because of the bonus. Again, pull back those old files. That's one of the reasons we talk about it all the time. Keep those green sheets, keep those files, because again, a company is going to be smart enough to develop a product that's going to be able to get them out of those old contracts. Nassau's done that. That's what this is about. Yep. They are going to be able to do that. So that's why we say hold on to those files, because we may not be able to do it today, but tomorrow there's going to be a product that's developed. This is one of those products that now with the cap rates, now that they're doing these things, now with this bonus, we may be able to put them into a better situation. This is a prime example of what we've been preaching for the last 5 years. So Troy, we appreciate that. Again, I didn't want to steal thunder. I don't know if you got more to talk about, but we will do a full product launch on this because the income product that's attached to this it's innovative too. I was going through it. Yep. I did not want to talk about it because it deserves a full hour because it's a lot to that as well.
There's a lot. There's a lot there. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Absolutely. I know we want to keep it high level.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your call. We appreciate it. Amber, good to see you. Chris, call me anytime.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Troy. Hey, do you want to put your contact numbers? Do you have those in a slide?
You know what? I don't have it on a slide.
That's fine. We can put it up or tell everybody. Everybody can reach out to us. We've got Troy's number.
Okay.
So you guys reach out to us. We'll put our stuff up there so you can reach us, and we'll get you in touch with Troy. So Troy, I know you've got to run too. We appreciate you taking a last minute jump on this call. We do appreciate it.
We'll see you guys later. Take care.
Hey, thanks, Troy.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. Thanks, Amber. I'm going to let you talk. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to be quiet.
Sounds good. All right. So you guys, we definitely on the TWC this week, we went in depth about the process and the questions that you should be asking to convert from a life sell to an annuity sell. And today we really want to dive in a little bit deeper on once you do start that conversation and you have done that process and asked those questions and your client's on board with possibly talking about their retirement funds and talking about annuities, how do you get BAM involved? And it starts with rapport. Again, very, very important that they talked about, Jeff and Vinny both talked about on the TWC Wednesday, was when you get us involved, when you get BAM involved, when you get Jeff or Chris or any of our other advisors involved, you need to talk us up. We're your partner. We want your client to trust us, and they're not going to trust us if you don't show that you don't trust us. So definitely building that rapport. And I know we're going to have Stephanie and Tim talk a little bit more about how they do that here in a minute, but building up that rapport and then booking that appointment. And I want to pull up the slide real fast. I know we talked a lot about, let me see if I can share my screen. I know we talked a lot about that green sheet, and I'm going to try to make it big for y'all. And maybe, let's see, maybe. All right, here we go. All right, can y'all see the green sheet? No. Let's try again. Screen number 3. You're going to see it in a minute. Hold on, here we go. Okay, start from the current slide. Now can you see the green sheet?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this green sheet is really important that you guys are filling out. make sure that you're filling out this information. This is going to help you find those retirement funds to get BAM involved and help you write these annuities. You can see on here, it has questions like, how much money do you have in your savings and your CDs? How much money do you have in your 401ks or your IRAs? Do you have any debt in your house? How much do you still owe on your home? Do you have any car loans that you still owe on? Things like that. So if you can gather this information for us once you've locked down the conversation with the annuity, this is extremely helpful for our advisors so that they know kind of where your client stands, so that when they do have that conversation with your client, that I have an understanding more of where your client is financially. So make sure you're gathering those green sheets, and make sure you're gathering any kind of statements that they have. So if they do have a brokerage account from Edward Jones or Merrill Lynch or Empower or whatever, grab those statements, because if you can send those to us prior to that appointment that you've booked with one of our advisors and your client, that gives our advisors time to go over these things, see how they're invested, and see how we can do something better for them. So once you get us booked, we talked on the TWC, you're going to book us on our Simply Book Me site. We have all of our advisors listed there, so you can choose from any of those advisors, and you can book an appointment with whoever has a calendar availability that works for you and your client. Then make sure you email those statements and that green sheet over to greensheets@bacapitalmanagement.com, and then book the appointment. And then on that day that you've booked that appointment, Chris is going to give you a phone call, or Josh is going to give you a phone call, or Jeff, one of our advisors. They're going to give you a phone call with your client, and they're going to start the process of digging in a little bit deeper to find out where your client is financially, what their goals are for retirement, and then to kind of figure out what would be the best annuity product for them, and then also offer other recommendations for other funds that can't go into an annuity. So one of the benefits of working with us is we are an investment advisory firm. So basically what that means is we work for you guys. Andy hired us. That is how we work. We are here to help you guys write annuities, IULs. Chris is knowledge on these products is insane. I mean, he knows so many things when it comes to the annuity products, so many things about the IUL products. So when you get that client on the phone with one of our advisors, they're going to try their hardest to put them in a product that you guys can sell. You guys can sell annuities, you guys can sell IULs. So they're going to work really hard to do that. But then there's other funds out there that just can't be put into an annuity. Say it's a non-qualified account that it's just a cash account that somebody invested at Merrill Lynch, and maybe they have a ton of gains on that account. Well, if you were to cash that out and put it into an annuity, guess what? You just caused a huge tax consequence for your client. And so Chris can talk you through that stuff to make sure we're not making any bad decisions, and then also to help you push and try to get some annuities locked in for you. And then outside of that, that's where our big game comes in, is when we get to come in and I'm going to stop sharing this because you don't need to see anything else on there. That's where we get to come in and we get to start moving money for you guys. And I know y'all enjoy that. We always talk about the thief in the night, where we can come in and grab funds. That is when we're dealing with a brokerage account, but we can also help you guys out with transferring annuities to annuities. All of that happens when you get BAM involved, and it makes it a lot easier when you follow the process and you get us involved from the very beginning. We don't want you getting us involved in the middle, because then once the process has kind of happened, we got to do a lot of fixing. So we're happy to do that, but we would love it if you guys could try to get us involved from the very beginning, and that way it can be a seamless process for you and your client doesn't have to deal with all of the not in good orders or issues with transfers or having to go find a medallion signature, which is a struggle. So we can help avoid all of those roadblocks for you guys if you just start incorporating us into your annuity process of selling those to some of your clients. And Chris, I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about rapport and the market and maybe how much more we can help through that process. Is there anything else you wanted to cover in our process?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think part of it becomes, when you bring us in the middle, it's very difficult to explain to your clients who we are. Although we are a partner and you guys use us, but when you bring us in the middle, you have to explain to your clients why we have to open another account and why we're transferring it to us as opposed to just directly to the annuity carrier. It's just easier to let us help from the beginning from that standpoint. We can do it, and we're able to overcome those obstacles. It's just easier from the beginning. As far as rapport and things like that, I think what I'd like to do, if it's all right with Tim and Stephanie, maybe we can, let them talk about maybe their process and how they, when they walk into a house, why it's important to establish rapport and trust right from the beginning. Tim, Stephanie, let me let you guys introduce yourselves since you guys are guests today. Tim Long, Stephanie Rodriguez, you guys are, with the Alliance, you guys have been with a long time. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? Tim, actually, you know what, Stephanie, you're the lady on the call. Why don't you introduce yourself first? You're much better to look at than Tim, so we're gonna let you start. How about that? So Stephanie, you want to introduce yourself? How long you been with us?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I'm Stephanie Rodriguez out of the Treasure Island office, going into my 4th full year. So I started doing annuities, I would say pretty early on. I was kind of scared. I don't really remember how I even brought it up in that first appointment, but I do remember saying my partner, Chris Norris, he's the man. We call him the Chuck Norris of retirement planning. And people of that age group know who Chuck Norris is. People younger than me don't know who Chuck Norris is. So that joke may not always work, but, and it was seamless. It was easy. Back then it was still all paper. It was pre-COVID. Yeah. So, but it was a seamless process. I got Chris on the phone I texted him, I believe, during the appointment, and he told me how to get on his schedule. And I went back and I did the appointment with Chris, and it was over the phone. At that time, there wasn't Zoom that we used anyway. And, easy peasy. And I've been doing it like that ever since. So when I go into a home, I try and I utilize that green sheet and my notes, and I just make mental notes. But one really awesome question I learned from Brian Rojas was, hey, where do you keep your retirement savings? And it's that simple. And it's like, either, 401k, IRA, whatever it is, you make a mental note and you keep it for after, and then when I get to the end, after I seal the deal and I help them with their life stuff, I just say, hey, remember how you told me you have that money in the 401k and you're about to retire? Or you have the $200,000 just sitting in your checking account or savings account doing nothing. My partner, Chris Norris, I said, would you be open if I could show you how to grow that money safely with no risk? Would you be open to hearing more about it? And they always say, yeah. It's like, hey, at the very least, you get some free information and some more things now. And it's really that simple. But in the beginning, I know it's hard as a person to want to ask a client, what they're doing with their $1 million or their, $500,000, whatever it is. It can be kind of like heart pounding, but you just got to ask a simple question and keep it simple. And then it's very simple to book on BAM schedule. All you got to do is click a button, find the time slot that works for you and your client. And then you got to make it back there too, because, Chris, Amber, the whole BAM team, they're amazing, but it's your client. You still have to be in communication with your client. You're the face there that they can see, feel, touch, and feel comfortable with. So it's a really simple process. And I love you guys. I've tried to do annuities on my own before, and let me tell you, it is not worth the mistakes and the hassle. And oh my gosh, the hour and a half of trying to figure out if I did it right or not. I love utilizing BAM because it's like I do my part, they do their part. They come in like in the middle of the night and the money is gone before anybody knows what happened. So it's great.
A couple of things that you said I want to hit on. You just asked some really simple questions. You don't make it, you don't go down and make it complicated. You just keep it really simple. So that's one thing that I would encourage. Just make it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. I think that's where people get get lost, or they think that it's really, really it's not. It's really simple. Keep it simple. That's the one thing that I think is key. And the other thing is you just ask, right? You just make it part of the process. You just ask, and you do it every time. That's one thing that I will say is you do it, you make it part of your process. So you do it every time. So that's the thing. So Tim, why don't you introduce yourself? I'm going to come back. Stephanie, I have some other questions, and we'll come back here in a second. Tim, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Can you introduce yourself? Kind of give us some background on you, and then kind of tell us.
Tell us about that warm market client that you just found. So introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm Tim and my wife Nikki. We're out of Savannah, Georgia. I'm in Houston, Texas right now, visiting some agents and helping them run. So we travel all over the place. It looks like Stephanie, you're on the road too. So I'm not quite like Stephanie. I've been here for 4.5 years, but it took me a while to have some success with annuities. And like many new agents I'm seeing on our team, your financial picture page, guess what? They gloss over this part, right? So did I when I started talking about the 401ks and a lot of that stuff and the criminal history, and like kind of, you don't want to touch the touchy feely stuff. And so I did not write my first annuity for 2 years. And then when I first started getting comfortable with asking some of those questions, which I can't imagine how much money I glossed over during that time and missed out on, it's just about having a conversation with them, right? It's just about, like Amber said earlier, it's building rapport and trust, because without that, they're not going to tell you anything. And so one of the things that I've written down that I want to make sure that everybody grasps is, it's not that page, the financial picture page, when you're going through the ATM, or when you're going through the green sheet and then utilizing the ATM to help you with that, it's not a checklist at all. It's a conversation. And if you're struggling with those transitions between getting from, hey, any medications, operations, hey, by the way, what's your income? Like, that's not an easy transition. And then from your mortgage to tell me where your retirement funds are. Talk to your growing up line. Do some role playing with them about how to get between each of those items. And it'll help you tremendously to be able to gain that trust and figure out where that money is. So, and like Stephanie, same thing. Hey, by the way, I got a partner. Hey, have you ever heard you know who Chuck Norris is, right? Yep. Well, my partner, Chris Norris, no relation whatsoever, but he is the Chuck Norris of the financial world. And then they laugh, and, we want them to laugh as much as possible because it helps build rapport and break down barriers. So I just had a big month last month with annuities, and it was with my warm market. And often people who don't want to talk about their money, right? And so I had sent out a text, and it was Nikki's brilliant idea. We had kind of a tragedy with some of our warm market, and we had 2 people in our life who, husband and wife, ended up with cancer in a short amount of time, both not working. And so guess what? We weren't bold enough. They knew what we did, but we weren't bold enough to really talk with them enough and say, these are ways we could help. And so we sent out a text to a lot of our warm market that said, hey, we just had a tragedy, just had an unfortunate situation. And if we had done more, we could have helped them alleviate the pain and the suffering they're going through financially anyway. Do you have some time this week to talk for a few minutes? And we got a lot of text responses back. And so we did a follow-up call. I did a follow-up call with each of those individuals. And I wasn't setting an appointment. I would set a time to talk to them, but that call with them was to then see if they were open to a conversation. And so that follow-up conversation was, hey, and it was catching up really, because a lot of people I had not talked to for a long period of time. And so I just talked to them, hey, how's it going? This, that. So it was a natural conversation. They're then the ones that brought up business. So I didn't have to. And so they're, oh my gosh, what happened to your friends? And so I would talk about how the fact that I've been helping hundreds of people over the last few years that I don't even know, but I built relationships with, but I haven't done a great job of helping those that I know and love and care about the most. And so we don't just help with life insurance. We don't just help with cancer policies. We help with protecting retirement funds. We help with building retirement funds. We help in all kinds of ways. Are you open to at least having a conversation? Everybody has said yes. And so this couple very closed in those types of conversations. They looked at each other. I had that particular call on Zoom, and they looked at each other and like, yeah, I think so. And so I set in-home appointment with them to come out the next week. And during the last night, she's like, hey, by the way, do you help with annuities? I'm like, I sure do. She's like, good, because I've got one that's doing this, and I got another one that's doing this. And I sat down, and one was a variable annuity that was losing money. And another one was an income annuity that was on the 9th year, and it had grown in 9 years. It had grown like, I don't know, $15,000, $18,000. That was it. And so it was easy transition, one conversation, and we've done 2 applications for $216,000.
Wow.
So just from a text.
Just from a text. That's a great story.
That is a great story.
Just from a text.
Yeah. So
I like it.
I mean, that goes back.
And they're very happy too.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to, so both of you guys have been, in the business 4.5 years, warm market, is part of it, but, are you guys doing annual reviews, and, how do you guys approach those, and are you finding money within that and doing annual reviews? Kind of tell us that. Tim, you talked about the text that you're sending to your warm market. We talk about that a lot of times, that we probably neglect the warm market, but talk about annual reviews. Are you guys following up with clients that we've seen? Because obviously, Stephanie, you mentioned it, that when you started, right, you probably weren't as good as you are now, right? So talk about that, maybe that transition, and are you guys following back up with annual reviews, and, are you finding money from that standpoint, and are you kind of having those conversations, and following back up, with those clients now that you saw 4 years ago, is there a process? Have you thought about those conversations at this point?
So I am big enough to say that I was terrible with annual reviews. Horrible. Never did them. I was that agent Robbie Kraft always complained about, that had 174 things that's not checked off and on the Today tab. And so actually in the last few months, that's what I've been better at. I've been going through that. I will say that one client I had, 6-7 months ago, that you helped me move that large account, he was from a review. And he was because I had done, I think it was like a $200,000 annuity for him right off the bat. But then I didn't see him for a year. And when I went back, he was willing to let us move the rest of his $2 million. And we spent a while collaborating together back and forth on what would be best for him. And, thank God we did, because what happened recently was he was moved to a memory care unit. Mm-hmm. The home that he was living in, a really nice retirement home, but they moved him downstairs to the memory care unit. And when we pulled out his trust, he had an ex-girlfriend that he'd never talked to in 6 years still listed on the trust. And because we were able to keep the money safe, A, we kept him from losing money early this past year, and B, we helped put it in a position to where it made it easy for this woman to come in and try and get things settled. So those reviews are just so important. And sometimes, I think to myself, I don't know much about it. I'm not the best at it. We negative talk ourselves of all the different reasons why people wouldn't want us to have their money. I still struggle with seeing clients that live in really nice homes. I'm comfortable in the middle class, lower economic class. That's where my comfort level is, but it's all up here. I tell myself these things. And so I've gone back. I found this $165,000 annuity that I just almost got through with F&G. That was a review because I started utilizing all the Today tab usages on ARC. And so it is so important. And then, from that, I ended up getting 3 referrals. And it's just, it all kind of snowballs. But if you don't put one foot in front of the other, and follow our system of doing the reviews, then it's not going to happen. One other thing was my neighbor. My neighbor passed away, and I had done their annuities, their insurance, their heart attack stroke policies. I did everything for him. And we were able to take the money from his and kind of put it back into something for the wife. And I'm working on that right now. But that was, it wasn't a review, but it happened to be like the 2-year anniversary. So it did kind of work out because it popped up in my email that it was time to do the review.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So shout out to Robbie Kraft for doing the ARC, right? Developing the Today tab. I mean, again, guys, if you're not using that and using the Today tab in the CRM, guys, you need to be doing that because that's important. I mean, it finds business, right? Just like Stephanie just said. Tim, again, the story you just told, sending out the text, for your warm market, but I got to believe, you're probably finding business within just the client base as well.
I am. I'm like Stephanie. I was really, for the first 2.5, 3 years, I was a lead junkie. And so, and what that means is just investing in leads, which work very, very well. And I was doing some reviews, but I had clients coming back to me and wanting more coverage or referring people to me. But I was just investing more in leads. And so I wasn't doing a lot of the annual reviews that I needed to be. And so I don't know, something must have happened to both of us, Stephanie, because in the last 6-8 months, that's been a priority for me. And so that's where a lot of my business is coming from and being very intentional about those. And so I've been writing more policies and things like that, doing those reviews. Haven't found a lot of money, but yes, we've both gotten much better over the last the last 3 years or so. And so it's easier asking those questions. It's easier, fishing around and figuring out. So I've got a $25,000 annuity in the works right now and pending. It's something small, but it's something, helping somebody out with that money was doing nothing for them, just sitting in savings account. And so we're waiting on that. And so it's continually asking those questions, and we can never stop asking those questions, and we can't assume anything. I'll tell you, there was one of my early on appointments that I went to a trailer that was busted up, just like the front was falling in, right? We sat outside with this guy. There was a garbage pile full of stuff. He pulled a couple chairs out and we sat outside. Thankfully, it was a nice day and I didn't want to go inside of the place, right? And we sat there, and I'm assuming there's nothing, naive me, assuming nothing. I'm not going to be able to do anything here. Ended up helping with all of his grandkids. And the guy had $300,000 in the bank. His priorities were just different than what I'm used to, right? And so he had retired from International Paper, and he took all of his retirement in cash as opposed to having some sort of a pension. So, I tried working with him and stuff, and I'm glad you said this, and I'm glad this came up again, because I'm going to go back out and visit him. But at the time, he was saving that to build a house on that property. So he didn't want to do anything with that money. But never assume anything, because you show up there and you're like, they got nothing. So the money's there. You just got to ask for it.
That's the whole thing. When we interject our own perceptions, sometimes you pull in and you go, man, there is nothing here, and that can really lead us to dangerous things. I'll get Cuz to tell the story. I'm not going to. So again, he can tell the story much better of the client that we just went to that has upwards of $10 or $12 million, and he looked like we live in the Addams family house. That is the house. That's the perception. But he can tell the story the next time he's on the activity call, or I should have had him on just to tell that story. But so we've talked, the last few days about, BAM is expanding. We've hired advisors. We've got advisors in, Florida. We've got advisors, Greenville, South Carolina. He's close to Atlanta. So he's close to you, Tim, so he's not far. So Stephanie, I know you've had the chance. You and I have worked together. We've done Zoom calls. but you've had the chance to have Jeff go out with you. Kind of tell us the experience, the difference of having somebody go to a house with you. How was that different than just doing a Zoom call? How do your clients react to have somebody sitting there with you and answering questions in person versus, just doing a Zoom call? Is there a difference? You think your clients react differently when somebody's there answering questions? Kind of just tell everybody the difference, maybe having somebody there in person versus over the phone or over a Zoom.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. I can't say enough good things about Jeff. And it was different for me. Like I had to mentally, hey, I'm not saying Chris Norris anymore. Gotta say my partner Jeff. So I had to get used to it. But I have this client, Marlene. I've had her since I pretty much had started with the Alliance. You helped me.
Oh, I think we lost Jeff.
$300,000 in an old IUL, and she had just gotten scammed for $120,000. So I had come in and found this in all her messy paperwork, and you actually told me what it was. I had zero idea. I just saw $300,000 and you figured it all out. But I went back, a year later, I ended up going through all her files. This woman's husband had died 10 years ago, and it was just her and her dog. And she was very happy to have me there. And, we ended up looking at her Edward Jones statements and finding out that she had upwards of almost 2 million. And so it was a process because you and I, over the last 3 years, have been on 4 Zoom calls with her about the importance of keeping that money safe. And we just, as much as she loved me and as much as she loves looking at Chris on the Zoom because, he's very handsome and she always liked talking to you, we could never get her to budge. And it was an emotional tie because her ex-husband or her late husband was the one who had opened those accounts with Edward Jones. And it wasn't anything other than the emotional tie to that. So we spoke to her just before the market dropped last year. And I got to think about it. I don't know. I got to talk to my daughters. And then what happened? She ended up losing about $320,000. So 1.9 went to 1.6 very quickly. I brought Jeff out there a couple weeks back, and she loved having somebody there. You could see like the comfort and the ease. And, I just prefaced it as, hey, I've got so many clients in this area now that Chris put one of his best guys out here to help me. Me and the other agents in this area, we have a big need to have somebody local. He's one of the best. So Chris had placed him here. He now works in my office. So it's great. I have a partner who's here who will be there when you need him. She's right there. Like, this is the first time that I actually think that she's willing to actually move forward with us helping her out, because right now she's 100% at risk. That whole 1.6 that she has, if something happens, well, it's going to quickly be a lot lower. So he helped me with that. We're not, over the hump to where I've got moved, but the daughter was there and she is very on board with all of it and she wants it to happen. So it's just that power of having somebody sit there, because we were having a conversation, all 4 of us, the daughter, her, Jeff, and Jeff is a lot like me. So like we play off each other really well. He's got a kind heart. He's very easy to talk to. He talks in elementary terms. He also helped me with this other lady. We just saw her for the second time yesterday. And it's a similar situation. This poor woman, she had cancer. She was on her deathbed. No one thought she was going to make it. She ended up going to this fight. She sold the building. She got, I think, $700,000 from selling this building because she thought she was dying. And she went to this advisor firm, and from $700,000, Can you guys still hear me?
We can. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So from $700,000, she only has $335,000 left. And she's not, she's living with it now. So now she's not dying. She's also, her kidneys started failing from all of this stuff. So she goes to dialysis. But her money, where Jeff looked at her portfolio from the small firm, it is, I think, 97% in the market.
Yeah.
And for this woman's needs and what she needed this money to do, that is the exact opposite of where she needed to be. And she's going through so much emotionally I know just in my heart, if it was a Zoom call, as much as I love Chris and as great as he is, Jeff is able to be face to face, knee to knee with her, expressing his emotions to her, and she can see him. And I do truly believe that she's gonna go with us because of that. And I think if it was just me and you getting on a couple Zooms, I'm not confident that she would have been okay to move, because again, she's just got a lot of stuff going on to where it's hard to think about. But having that person right there to know that, okay, I can see them quarterly. I can see them for a quarterly review or whatever they want. That is making all the difference.
Yeah, and Jeff shared it. I mean, we worked on the case. I mean, he shared it with me. We worked on the case for her. I mean, and you're right. I mean, there are clients like that where you need that, and that's the nice thing. So we've got Jeff down in Florida. We've got Richard in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and Fahad in Texas. We've got guys that we've hired. We've got Brad down in South Carolina, who's close to Atlanta. So we've got guys all over. That's the reason we've done these things, because you're going to have clients that need that face-to-face. Not that we can't do the Zoom calls, and not that we can't do that, and not that I don't fly out and see clients, because I've gone to Minnesota and I've gone to Texas and I've gone to Washington and I've gone to these areas to do that. But it's nice to have people local like Jeff. So guys, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put those guys in those localities, because again, I can't see the emotion on their face when I'm there. You can't represent that. So that's why I wanted Stephanie to tell that. We've got Mike Wamberg down in Charlotte as well, and he's going to travel. And so guys, we've got advisors that we've hired. That's the reason we're doing that's the reason we're building. That's the reason we're doing these different things. So Stephanie, I appreciate that. Tim, again, that's why we're doing these different things, but I wanted to share that as well. But guys, we got about 6 minutes. You guys have shared, a lot of different things. Any last comments that you guys wanted to share as far as how you guys leverage BAM? You guys have given a lot of different things, but share with us how you leverage BAM and kind of how you would give advice to new agents kind of getting started in the business.
I'd say just trust BAM, because they're a huge asset. If you don't try using them, if you don't reach out and build a relationship, you're never going to know, and you're going to miss out. You're not going to move the money. You're not going to learn the stuff on your own. So just real quick, I want to share a quick story about how I guess vetted Chris. And I don't even know if you know this story, Chris, but we have a kind of like a grandmother to our kids that we adopted a few years ago. It was the first Zoom I ever did with you, Chris. And she had about $300,000, and it was a practice. She wasn't going to move anything, but it was a practice appointment. That was my preface with her for you. So I got her statements, sent them to you, and you met with us on a Zoom, and you looked over everything. And at the end of the conversation, you said, you know what? You're doing awesome. Don't change anything. Keep everything exactly where you are. And that to me gave a great confidence for me that you were where your heart was. It wasn't to try and sell somebody something, to move something over to BAM just because. And so that gave me a great confidence. And what I love is the way you're building BAM and putting advisors all over the country. Is I met Brad in Atlanta last week, and everybody's got the same heart as you. And so it's from your leadership building BAM and yours and Amber's that is just so valuable. So thank you guys for what you're doing.
Thank you, Tim.
It's a huge asset to us.
Thank you, Tim.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't know, you're good. And I do want to say that that is very strong on the BAM side is we're going to do what's right for your client. What is the best thing for your client? So you don't have to worry about your client getting screwed over. And I promise you, just like Stephanie was saying, we did something right for their client. And then 2 years later, guess what? They threw another $1 million at her. People don't usually give you all of their money up front. They want to see if you're going to do them right. And then once you've done them right, they're going to come back with the rest of their funds. So definitely put your trust in us. We're going to help you get through this. And I do want to just reiterate the process, and you don't need to know everything about annuities. You don't even need to know what those statements are that you're holding in your hand that you've asked them for it. Like Stephanie said earlier, I didn't have a clue what Marlene had. I just got this paper. It said 300,000. I sent it to Chris. Chris did all the work for her. He told her what she had. He told her where she could put it. And then if she wanted our help with writing an annuities, we were happy to help. If she didn't want our help, we just told her, here's the application, go do your thing, girl. So just trust us. We're going to do the best thing for you. I made this comment on Wednesday's call. I'm giving you all a goal if you've never sold an annuity or if you've never worked with us. When you go in those houses for life sales, make sure you're going through that green sheet, book that appointment with BAM, and just watch the process. And I do know we always talk to you about what's the first step of the 8 steps, and that's personal use. If you don't have a client that you're ready to use this with, use it on yourself. We can show you how we work. We can open up an account for you, start saving retirement for yourself. Just definitely get us involved. I think that's the importance of this call. We can help you out in all areas. You don't need to know a lot. We will walk you through the process, and we'll make y'all pros just like Stephanie and Tim.
Amber, I want to back that up because I know that some people may be thinking, oh, well, I have to give them 10% to, do the application. And how hard could the application be? Well, let me tell you something. There's all kinds of places that this money can come from. There's all kinds of places it could go to. And I don't know if I'll ever be a pro at annuities, but I will always use you guys because that is so much more valuable to know that I'm not going to be responsible for screwing up my clients $2 million. Like I could never sleep at night knowing that if I just checked one little box wrong, that can make all the difference in their world. And you guys are just so easy. It is that simple. You click on the schedule, you get on Zoom, he tells you what to do, you fill out the personal information and send it to Amber, and they literally do the rest. Amber helps call on it. She takes care of the application. She follows up with it. We get to keep moving and helping protect more families because we're not taking all that time to try and have an ego and think, oh, I can do it myself. I don't need BAM. Like, no. Put your ego aside. It is better for the client to make sure it gets done right the first time. So use BAM. They're amazing. I don't call Amber his secretary. I say she's his right hand. She's awesome. I talk them all up. I talk the whole office up. So I'm very good at edifying so that by the time the clients get to you guys, they feel comfortable. But I'm just so thankful for you guys.
Thank you. And just to clarify, we do not charge 10% to have that initial conversation with Chris. When you send those statements and things like that, that is free. That's totally free. Get us involved. Chris is going to walk you through everything you need to do. Jeff's going to walk you through everything you need to do. The 10% she's referring to is if you do want us to write the app for you and do the whole move money process, we will get involved and do it for you for a 10% split. But as far as getting us involved and us helping you tell you what you should do with your client, that is all absolutely free. It's a part of the alliance, and you guys definitely need to get us involved and use us as much as you possibly can.
Yep. We're here to help, guys. We're a resource. Use us. There's no reason not to. So again, we're here to help. Guys, we appreciate everybody joining the call. Tim, Stephanie, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate you joining the call. It is 11 Eastern. Sorry, I'm in New Mexico, so I'm trying to keep up. We appreciate
Maya. I want to throw our contact up there real fast just so they can see that. And then also, you guys, I know we talked about on Wednesday we did the TWC, the questions and all that good stuff. Well, I guess I'm not going to throw up my contact. Nothing wants to work on my 3 screens. I think
336-269-6233. That is my direct line. 336-660-2782 is the office number. So that's the way you can get in touch with us. How about that?
Perfect. And then most importantly, if you guys want to get those slides where we talked about those questions and how to transfer from the life cell to the annuity cell, we did talk about that on Wednesday. So just shoot us an email, greensheets@bacapitalmanagement.com, and we can send you a list of those questions and those slides as well. We hope y'all have a good Friday.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye.
Record.